we'll get it together.
Okay, dope. So, just to let everybody know, we are live on YouTube, and we encourage everybody to head to the YouTube live stream. We just touched over 200 subscribers. We're like at 210, so we're on to the move. We got to get to 500, from 500 to 1,000. But we have a big special guest this morning, looking ready, excited to be here. I got two products of the Jane and Finch community.
Right.
I'm kind of, you know what's crazy? I'm not gonna adopt one because I went to school there and I started there, but from the opposite side. But it's all love here. It's for positivity. Right. But I got the beautiful and talented Kamelah Blair. Mm-hmm. And you know, for those, they may know you have British royalty, of course, as well. Yeah. The author. I'm not gonna do too much talking. Introduce yourself to the people who may not know you or that are here at the Motivation Monday platform.
So, good morning, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. My name is Kamelah Blair, the author, otherwise known in the streets as British royalty. And I'm grateful to be here. Being in you guys' presence is actually a present for me this morning.
Wow. So, see, that's why you're the author. You know how to drop the thing. Now, we appreciate more because, you know, you reached out to us, sent us a DM, you tuned in, and, you know, the message we saw, we're like, International Women's Month, you're here.
Right.
We're gonna let you share the story, but how did you even find out about Motivation Mondays?
Actually, you had a guest, Lick My Fashion,
okay,
Jaden, and then he was there and I watched it, and I did see it pop up a few times on my feed. I usually just tune in and just listen to it on my Bluetooth.
Okay, that's what's up. Now, give us a rundown of who you are, what you are, before you even got to here.
Ooh, so I guess we know each other from the dancehall scene. So I used to keep a party called Money Over Mix Up, and that was 10 editions. And then I'm a product of the Jane, as you know.
Jane and Finch,
right?
the finest.
The finest. Mother of two kings, and just I've always been giving back to my community. And I'm.
Oh, getting the echo. Sorry, guys.
So a lot of people had known me either because of my parents or because of my community or for the things I was doing in my community.
Now, how long were you living in the Jane and Finch community?
I moved out of Finch in my early 30s. So I've been there from birth until 30 years old. Okay,
that's what's up. Now, Max, you know, you're a product of the Jane and Finch community, and you know, we know that the community comes with a little stigma that they've painted, which is not the case. How do you feel like sometimes it makes it hard for people to be able to succeed and be able to do great things with what happens in that community, being from there?
So for me, I say it a lot on my social medias. I believe that I broke many stigmas. Stigma being a single mother, not turning out to nothing, or your kids turning out to be bad. My kids don't have a criminal record. The police don't know them. They get pulled or they're like, who are you kids and why are you in this area? Because they work back in the community. They work at Driftwood Community Center as team leaders for the city of Toronto. So the stigma for me, I think, has been broken. But oftentimes it's the people bring up my past, and I just answer that as I'm not who I used to be. So if you want to talk to old Kamillah, you might have to send an email or a text. I don't know if I'm going to get a response, but you're not going to find her.
Now, Max, I want to hear your intake on it, because you know we're the opposite. We had the criminal records and whatnot, and we were able to share our stories and change it. Like, and you know, one thing I love that you talked about, you took your pain to paper, and then you fulfilled your purpose. And Max always talk, you know, he dropped a gem yesterday on his gram where he's talking about your purpose. And he's a man that really, like, you know, you got to dig in deep to be able to find your true purpose. How do you feel like a community stigma can kind of take away? And then how were you able to, like, turn a negative situation into a positive and to why we're here right now?
Well, like you just mentioned, mine's a little different from her story. I did get arrested. I was part of the environment, you know. I did play a role into some of those things that people are known to do in Jane and Finch. And know that I'm not proud of. It's part of what makes me who I am today, right? You know, I often tell the youth, yes, you are a product of your environment, but don't play a role in that environment, right? And that was kind of like the step moving forward. And it was through those moments, through my last arrest, while you guys probably heard the story before. It was through that moment.
Next office.
It was through that moment. Sorry. It was through that moment while I was down and out, I should say, not out, but down on myself, facing criminal charges, I came to the realization I gotta do more with myself and start fulfilling some of my passion, some of the things I like to do. And it started with football, and I know I wanted to get back into football, so I started coaching. And then I realized, in what capacity can I get back in working with youth, right? Before they get lost, because I was able to reflect how the teenage years got me, you know, being a product of the environment, going outside, hanging out with my friends, one thing leads to the other, going to the mall, a couple of things. So then I got into the child youth working business. So it was through passion and now through purpose. And now what we have here is, which eventually turned out to be a motivational speaker, turned out to be Motivation Monday, and it keeps going, right? So it's like following your passion, working with youth, giving them some of the opportunity and advantages that I didn't have or didn't see. And then often I also looked at it like, not that my parents is to blame, sometimes we can't relate, right? My parents didn't grow up in Jane and Finch, so some of the things they were telling me, although they were right, but it was a different perspective. So like she was mentioning, growing up in Jane and Finch, you also have that connection that I could relate to some of those youth and some of those people going through some of the teenage struggles. So it was the stigma that helped me out, but at the same time, it's the stigma that I'm trying to break, that making sure that some of the finest can come out of Jane and Finch.
Nah, I love that. And you know, Kamillah, you're getting some love from Brooklyn right now. They say Brooklyn's in the house, Brooklyn, New York. Loves British royalty. So shout out to Joseph P. Langdon. Everybody, we see you in the comments. Keep them going. American love. Oh, you brought the international flavor to the thing. I like it. Now, it's on the next one. I don't want to touch no buttons, because if I touch it, because the volume, if I could push it a little lower.
Yeah, you can push it lower.
No, on this one. I think is it right here?
No, the other side.
Okay, but so maybe T, if you can help us with that on the other side. But I want to talk into like our platform's about we educate people on understanding self. How do you feel like with your upbringing and everything that you were, you know, that you went through in life? Because we're gonna get deep into the story, because you know people got to know. But how were you able to understand yourself? Like what you wanted out of life? Is it more through the experiences, the trauma, to some of the barriers you faced, or was this something you got from, you know? Because some people just got it, you know. Like when you came in this morning, I was like, whoo! It just came through, and you just got it. Like your presence alone spoke volumes.
Right.
So how do you feel like you understanding yourself? You being in the Jane and Finch community, you being in the dancehall community, how are you able to be like, okay, you know what? This is who I really am. I feel like I have an idea. I want to become an author, because I feel like everything comes with an idea. Like you didn't just wake up, boom, author. No, you have to have the thought in your head before it actually happens.
So the thought process, as I can relate to my brother, is I did spend time in Vanier. And while I was in Vanier, it was like when everything is stripped from you, oftentimes, I'm sure you can relate, is when you're in a cell, all you can do is think about what could I have done to not be here. And I think everybody in jail will tell you, right. And then taking that, it was when one of the guards came, they're like, but Blair, you're not even writing. And I'm like, no, but I'm reading. So I don't need to write it. I can read it, and I have full understanding because I have like photographic memory. So it took me back that evening after lunch I had like a flashback of when I was in Brookview, shout out Brookview Middle School, is my teacher used to say, because I was getting so much trouble because of my attitude and my behavior, she used to say, you know, you should just write a book or just continue to write in your journals. And then when I got to high school, it was the same thing of me spending my grade 10 year in the office. It was just write a book then, because you don't want to take instructions from anybody else, and you think that you're the boss of the school and you're not, and everybody's following you. And then when I got to college, I took business English. The teacher was like, you know what you should do, Kamillah? And I'm like, I could bet you I know exactly what you're going to say. I should write a book. So even though it was stressful for a lot of people, being in the pandemic, I had the time, because I never have the time, because I do run other businesses. I do have an interior design, and I do have a nonprofit organization. So during the pandemic, I'm like, I should write that book.
Boom.
And it just came to pass that day, and that was Chronicles of Jane Part 1. And then it was a surprise. Like I did the ghostwriting, everything at home. No one knew about it. I just invited my friends. We were a bit unruly because we didn't follow the numbers, but I just released my book. My friends just thought we were going out for like brunch and stuff, and I just released the book. And then literally, Ebone, the moment the doors open, and they were like, okay, what are you doing? And then I announced that I wrote a book. Like all the weight from my past literally fell. Like I've never been the same person from July 23rd, 2020. It was just different. And at that moment, I found my true purpose.
And you know, it's what I realized, what I love so much about everything going on is the pandemic started 2 years ago, literally around these times. I'm on Snapchat. It's reminding me, and this platform got started in the
Ooh, I like
pandemic.
that.
Like, you know, and what's so crazy about it? At these times, I was actually into fitness. Like, I was running, I was meditating, and Max actually started this wave on Snapchat where we would go for run and he'll post his Nike apps, and all the man just started doing it. And what's so funny is, like, I'm not even thinking about it right now. That's how I was able to clear my mind and think of great things to do, which is something like this. And my boy is telling me, he's like, yo, look how this pandemic, like, think about it, 2 years ago, who would have thought? But look what we're doing. And we've been consistent with this. We're going on 98 weeks. Our 2-year anniversary is in 2 weeks. But I did not know that. And that's deep. And I'm glad you shared that, because sometimes you're told as kids, like, you know, we have these things that people, like, I remember, I always talked a lot. So my teachers always told me, yo, I'm going to see you on stage. Or I used to do the announcements. I used to sing "Oh Canada." So a lot of people know me from Gosford. I went to Brookview too for like a couple months. So like everyone who knows me from those days is like, yo, we're not surprised you're doing it.
Right.
But some people, like, it's a shell where they're scared to, they know it's in them. They've been told, but they don't know what to do to get it out. So I'm glad you, because you know that weight, when you're able to take that weight off of your shoulder, it's probably like the best feeling.
It is.
And there's no better feeling than that.
And to add to that, I just want to mention somebody named Joseph P. Langdon. Just did 22 years, and he also talked about coming home. And you mentioned about being in van. You also talk about being arrested, and it's not so much as just you have to get arrested for you to see that there's something there for you, but through your darkest moment is where you see the brightest light. Right? Only when the room is dark can you see a bright light. So it's like, it's not, and this is not for the rest of the world to go get arrested and then find out what works for you. But you know, if you're going through hard times, right, the little glimpse of hope is a deep calling. That's when you dig within yourself. So if you have lost your job, right, through the pandemic or even after the pandemic, the mandates, whatever reason why you find it being the darkest time right now, I'm telling you, this is the chance where the brightest light shine. It's for you to discover yourself, for you to discover your true self, maybe tap within yourself. That's why we say everything starts within, right? For you to find that light and make some of yourself, and eventually you will get to that place where you feel like you have a purpose. You're accomplishing something on a day-to-day basis.
So, and I like that. That was deep, Max. So Joseph Landing and Jay Burden are both, well, Joseph is out. He did 22 years. We met because of our similar stories. But there's a movement that I'm a part of, the Rich Mindset Movement and Free Jay Burton Movement. So Jay Burton is still in jail, and he's been in there from he's 16 years old, and he's done 33 years. So Again, I'm not good at artists' names, but there's a whole bunch of rap artists who are part of the movement. And then when I meet them, I'm like, because we were live the other day with them, and Total came up, and I'm like, trying to act starstruck, don't act starstruck, don't act starstruck. But the movement is so big, so I want to send a special shout out to all the cameras and everybody who's still on lockdown, that you do have a chance to make it. I actually had the opportunity before my birthday this year. Was my lawyer turned a judge, and he always called me for my birthday, and he said, Kamillah, this year I'm gonna give you a gift. I'm not gonna just call you, I'm gonna give you a gift. I'm like, you don't have to give me a gift. Like, he's like, no, you literally have 4 hours to go back to Vanier, because you know, as a convict, we can't go back. Mm-hmm. So he gifted me that 4 hours to go back to Vanier, which is the Women's Correctional Center, and speak to the ladies, because he see me doing so much powerful things. He's like, you wrote a whole book, you need to sign it, I'm gonna frame it. And he's like, go. So I went. It was like 2 days before my birthday, and honestly, I felt weird, Max, because I'm like, there's no green tracksuit. I'm going through the door, and I'm like, are they gonna arrest me in here? And I felt weird, but I felt powerful at the same time, that because I got to leave. So I just encourage them that we need you from the outside, because you should know that you get creative. Like, I learned a lot of stuff in the bin, okay? Like, I learned to make candy. I learned to make a lot of stuff. Yeah. So the creativity was there, but again, I'm not telling y'all to go to jail.
That's not what we're preaching here today. We're not
preaching you to go to jail.
Talk about darkness, yeah.
Don't feel that because you went to jail that that's the end of it, or it's a stigma where won't be anything. There are a lot of powerful people who are incarcerated, like Joseph and like Jay and like a few others that I speak to on a daily basis, and they're so powerful. They've also become authors. They've also released a lot of things behind bars, and a lot of people die with their. There's a saying that says most great ideas are in the graveyard, because they die with their ideas. So not because you're locked up behind bars means that you can't do it. You can. Actually, you have probably more time than we do on the street.
And you know what's crazy is because like when I think about when I was locked up, it was like sometimes what I learned from that is like sometimes it's good to be by yourself. Sometimes you need that time to yourself. Like you know, no distractions. And what I loved about jail for me is I found out who was like really my friend, who was down for me. I found out how I work best. Like, you know, it's an awkward space because you don't want to be there.
No.
But sometimes, you know, God has his special ways of taking you away to kind of, you know, and we're 3 people. As I'm sitting here, clearly sometimes that time away is for the better. Like, we're all doing great things for the community. And I even like the movement here already where I think, you know, I can reach out to the city of Toronto and be like, hey, I want to do something back to give. Because now that things are opening back, we can go back to the jails. We can do, there's so many ideas that we'll talk about off screen. But I'm humbled in even speaking here and knowing that, you know, you started this because you're author of, I believe, 7 books?
7, yes.
7 books, and we're going to talk about how you're able to, you know, do the different books and get into Walmart, you're on Amazon, and I know a lot of people are here, you started your own publishing company, so we're going to dig deep into this, but I want to know, how did you come up with the book, The Chronicles of Jane? Like, how did that name come up?
Chronicles of Jane is basically what it is. It's stories from the Jane. A lot of people who get my book first feel that Jane is a person. I would say Jane is not a person, it's a street. So Chronicles of Jamie, it doesn't stop at book 1 or 2. I think book 3 should be a film, but
you put it out there, it's gonna happen now.
yeah, I know. I just don't know if it's 3 or 4 or 5. But at the end of the day, I know that it has to happen that way, so that there's visual to it. Because I find that when you read, you make your own visuals of what the characters look like. And I feel if I bring it to life, either between cartoon or real life characters, that people can get to see if did your visuals match what I was really writing about. So for me, it was literally, as I say, put my pen to paper, and people got a true understanding. Now, a lot of people on the live might know that I was considered a bully at one point, but it's not that I was a bully. It was basically a mask. So before pandemic, I was a mask. It was like my defense mechanism is fight or flight, and it was never flight. It was always fight, 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 fight. Like, I could cuss you out. You want to hit me, but trust me, you ain't gonna win that fight. You're not. I have never actually. I've never won. I've never lost a fight, right? So it was a mask. And then when I wrote my book, people were like, "Okay, now I understand why you're the way you are." So it was actually a good move for me because my name's not dragged the way it was dragged before. If anything, is dragged through positivity. Link Kamillah for this, link British for this. I want to do this. In the pandemic, I actually published 14 books. I'm in the midst of publishing 2 books right now. So it's like, sometimes I wake up and people are like, so funny story, I didn't know my book was in Walmart. The way it's published, it can be picked up by anybody. I love Walmart. If anybody's on my Snap, I go to Walmart 3, 4 times, 6 times a week. I don't know why, just like. So we were having a conversation with a few new people that we met, and they were like, "Do you Google your friends?" And I'm like, "Why would I Google my friends? Everybody that I know for like 30 plus years. I don't do the new thing." And they're like, "Okay." So then I could see everybody on their phone, and I heard, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. My charges come up. I was part of the biggest raid in Toronto." They're like, "That never came up yet. You're in Walmart." And I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. And then I seen it. And that for me is, you can't take that from me. Even if you see the charges, it gets bypassed by so much important people that it's so far down now that you have to really be there scrolling for at least 17 minutes to get to the charge. So for that, it's like, I'm so grateful.
Now, like, you know, let's give a round of applause to that. Everybody give her flowers in their comments. And people are loving the cartoon idea. Cartoon would make it stand out differently. I like that. OG Tech. A lot of the OG Tech just came in. Yes. The OGs are coming through. I like it. Respect to the OGs. But I feel like, you know, when you go through trials and tribulations, like what we're talking about, you know, people paint this character, who you are, they have this perspective, and it kind of like, for instance, I know what it did for me. Like when people were talking about this, MC, how's he getting locked up, yada yada, I knew I had a point to prove, not just to the world, but to myself, that I'm better than what's being talked about. Absolutely. So like when people say, yo, you're doing, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago when I was locked up, I knew when I came out, yo, I'm gonna be bigger than what I was before, and you guys are gonna eat your words. That's just how I had it. Yep. Did you have anything like that in that moment? I see the smiles coming up already too. Yeah,
I had the same reflection of, again, it goes back to the Jane and Finch stigma, is I'm not supposed to be this. We're not supposed to be this. So it was at the point where I never really cared what people said. It was just annoying that my friends usually take on my problems more than I do. So it's, now that my kids were getting bigger, it's not that I hate it from them. It's not, I don't want your mother to, you to be in the public eye because they rap and they're artists, and I did not want, and I still do not want them to say in an interview like this is, but your mother is X, Y, and Z. They can say, but my mother has taken over the city and done X, Y, and Z in a positive light than the negative light. So the negativity used to get to me to the point where it's like, but Kamillah, at the end of the day, is you're giving into it too. Me answering you is giving into it. Stop answering and just prove them by putting something out there where they're gonna need and they can't take away from you.
Dope. And the reason why I ask that is because we're humans. We can't sit and act like words are not going to affect us at any point in time. But we do know that we're not supposed to let what others say.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to care about that. Like, who cares what they think? But in the reality of life is, when you hear it, you're going to care. So Max, I know Max has a crazy way of breaking things down. So I want to hear what he has to say about this, because it's easier said than done, but the more that you focus on yourself, like this platform is about you versus you. The more you focus on you, the more you'll be able to grow. The more that your flower will be able to like really blossom. And sometimes people feel like it's hard, like, oh, but they're saying this, like, how can I, and we bring women on this platform because we can't speak as a woman.
Right.
We know usually in the public eye, they say women are emotional, this and that, they let words, but like, you're a person that is living proof, and I didn't even know you started this in the pandemic. I would have sworn because you did 7 books, you're in Walmart, you would have started this from time. But sometimes you just have to get things started, and as long as you're consistent and doing what you have to do, things will be able to align. But Max, I want you to talk about that, where it's like, we know we're not supposed to care what people think, but the reality is when you hear certain things, it may sting, it may buzz you, it may get to you a little bit. How do you deal with that, and how are you supposed to allow that, especially when you're trying to grow and build something?
Well, what I'll say is we know for a fact that part of self is not so much what we think of ourselves, but what other people think of us, right? That plays a role how we look at ourselves, right? Because if people perceive us a certain way, in most cases we start to act a certain way, right? We start to fit in that mold or that image they want for us. So it does help, right? Especially even if you want to be somebody, if you're not getting that feedback that you are that person, you start to question yourself. Who are you, right? So we always want that verification from the outside, right? And we encourage people that, I know most people look at external motivation, looking for something to keep them going from the outside, but the best motivation is inside, right? But yeah, that's what makes us human. We're social creatures. Like, we need each other. Nobody want to be by themselves. We're creating that way. We feel better. Like they said, some hormones just getting a hug is equivalent to, like, I don't know, eating or something like that. So that's how we're designed. So we do need that, right? But at the same time too, we should not let it control us, right? It's not our circumstance or situation that defines who we are. We define who we are, right? The most important thing is how we look at ourselves, not what people say, because people only have a view. No, the saying is, the view that people have, they're viewing you from a dirty mirror, meaning whatever they think they see may not be accurate at all, because they don't know the circumstance, or they're looking at it from one point of view. We used this a few episodes back. The number 6, from my point of view, says 6, but from your point of view says 9, right? So we cannot use that as a valid reason to makes us who we are, but never underestimate the power of influence. Who are you influencing, and who's influencing you? Always ask yourself that question before you go out and do something. Who are you influencing, and who's influencing you?
Crazy. And this is what I'm telling you, this is Max's speaker, guys. This is sometimes I be going crazy when he's dropping the gem, and it's like, today I'm trying to hold myself back, and I'm not going too crazy, but it's hard.
I need that on a t-shirt. That's how crazy that was.
Now, usually when it's 11:12, but at 11:11, societies make a wish. We say make an affirmation, and I wanna say our affirmation for today. So our affirmation today is: beauty gets the attention, personality gets the heart. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. So I'm gonna repeat that again. Beauty gets the attention, personality gets the heart. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. And that just goes to talk about what we're saying. But when you hear that, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind when I hear that is, what I usually get is, I always tell people, do you know me? Do you know of me? And my personality usually sells me. No matter how I walk in a room, like, I'm a tomboy. Sometimes, like, it killed me this morning not to put on a hat. It really killed me this morning not to put on a hat, but I had to put on my J's. So it's how you show up. Even if I was in a blazer, I usually get the job based off my personality. The beauty, but I get it, and I felt that, and I also need that on a t-shirt or on a plaque.
Don't worry, I got you. It's right here. And you know what? I trust me, when I saw you today, and that's how it's like, that first impression matters. Like, you got me today. I came, you step out with the J's fresh blue denim and say, yo, yelling at the building. So, we're going to take some pictures and videos after, so you'll see the whole look. But, oh man, Black Book Fair, I seen them reach out to us.
Yeah.
Original Sanya says, I love this. We need to connect. I'm also a professional speaker. This is deep. I love this platform. And you know, we've been doing this literally for 98 weeks straight. Our 2-year anniversary is coming up April 4th. My bros, Wavy. April's a big month. Wavy's birthday, Max's birthday. So it's very special to us. I'm a Scorpio, so you know, I love to, but you know, you know, we're here, but you know, I want to make sure everybody knows that our April babies are coming up. She's beautiful, so amazing to see people from the city going up. And this is what this platform is about. It's about sharing these stories. And I want to get into the publishing part because we talk about finances too. People have so many ideas. Let's say someone, like, take us through what it took you to publish. This is not easy. You can't just wake up and say, I want a book, and bada bing, bada boom. You got to have some type of finances straight. So is there certain things you have to do before? Or did you have to talk to a mentor, accountant? What was the process like to get this started? Just in case there's somebody out here that I want to write a book. My boy's over there listening to us literally on the YouTube, and he's tuned in. He wants to hear it live and direct. He's like, yo, I want to know what the process is like. So take us through that.
So first, anybody who comes to me as a client, I know there's people in the comments and people in the building who know that is, first thing I always ask you, are you angry? If you're angry and you want to write a book, when you're unangry, contact me. I find that especially when it's biographies and people are angry, they say things and then they want to take it back. And then taking it back is usually, it's going to end up costing you $500 to probably $2,000 to take back half the things that you just said. So it's calm down. Are you relaxed? Yes. Is it something that you're passionate about, or are you doing it for fame or money? If you're doing it for that, I will not take on the project. I can refer you to someone who will, but definitely I won't, because I don't waste time. So the way we process our book is we don't physically, if you have it written on your paper or you have it in your laptop, that's fine. The process that we take is we hook you up with a ghostwriter. You pick your hours. So let's say, E-Bone, that you're free Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Then you pick your hours, either it's 1 hour or 2 hour. Once we do that, then I come to you and I'll email you or text you and be like, okay, pick your character names. Especially if it's a biography, you want to change your name. Point blank period, do not keep the people's names. They will come after you. Which camera is it? They will come after you.
You heard it here first.
Change the names, and then, so you have Jack, and his name is Jack, and you want to change him to Joan. Write it out so that when you're with the ghostwriter, afterwards, it will take less time in editing, so we already knew it ahead of time. Is we see Jack, but we don't change it to Joan. Pick your dedication. Most people pick their dedications to their book, if they have children, to their children or their families or their community. Next, you would have to pick the colors of what you want your book to look like, because then after you do your ghostwriting, so my ghostwriting started off 3 days a week, and then it went down to 2 days a week, because we find that writing takes longer, speaking is faster. So when you're speaking to the ghostwriter, there's actually a machine that's recording you. So I have a weird accent. I don't know where it came from, and I speak fast. So your sessions are recorded, and then you have a choice at that point to either you want all of your book or half. So between 1 to 6 and then 6 to 12. In that process, whatever you said in that conversation, you have an opportunity now to take it back. I said Jack is a jackass. I don't want that there anymore. Or if you mumbled, we can take that out. Or we can add something in at this point. Then it is turned into your manuscript, which is your book on paper. You have to read it, because even though you told the ghostwriter, take it out, you might be saying, you know what? I want a book 2. Let's just put that for book 2, right? And then oftentimes is you record so much that you've already in your second book, which happened to me is book 2 was already at chapter 4. I just had to add on. At that point now it goes to an editor. While it's at the editing process where she puts into proper sentences so people around the world understand what you're saying. Because, we speak with a slang. So there is slang words in the book, but we need the masses to understand what you said. So it goes to the editor. At that point now, we're also working on your book cover. So you're with the illustration team, and then you're writing your synopsis, which is the back of the book. So the back of the book tells you what the book is about. So that time you'll be doing that as well. This process, depending on how determined you are, can take less than 5 months. Literally the way we do it. Then we take it and we upload it. Now, different publishing companies upload certain different ways. My publishing company, I upload crazy. So first is always Amazon. And then the way that COJ Books publishes your book is, I think right now we're at 700. So there's 700 bookstores and book companies that we're signed on to that will pick up your book. It's not guaranteed it will happen, but there's a strong possibility. That's how much this book is in Walmart and this book isn't yet. Maybe tomorrow after they see this. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we have Barnes and Nobles, we have Chapters, we have obviously Amazon, and then many bookstores. Like if you Google, my book this week ended up in South Africa. I don't know the bookstore.
Jeez.
But I just put them up.
International,
right?
start local, go global.
So now my book is in this, because of this morning, is in 22 bookstores around the world. So that's how we at me and my co-publishing, which is Daughter of the King Publishing. She's also from the Jane, but she moved to Atlanta. Her old neighbor was Tyler Perry. Yes, Farrah, we know. She no longer lives there, as we see. But she's a great asset to what we both do. So not because you're published, Ebone or Max, I still gonna be on your ass, because that's just when the hard part comes in, is the marketing part of it. So marketing is, yes, you can do ads and stuff, but you have to be out in the streets, out in the city, out in places, building a book community. And that was kind of hard for me because I'm used to my own community, right? So it was like, okay, me stepping out and walking to a room with people who've been doing this for 30 years, and that's just me, my little book, and then people are so intrigued that, wait, you did this? And I'm like, okay, so if they want this, literally year to date, I released 2. So it can happen quickly, and it can, but just take your time. Not because I did it in 5 months means that you're gonna do yours in 5 months. I had somebody the other day who did their book in 2 months, but they were prepared and they were ready.
Everybody's process
right? So everybody's process is different, but it can happen, and your book can get picked up by somebody big. And like, as you see right now, is both of these books are in Vanier, which is the Women's Correctional Center, and both of these books are in South Detention. That's in the city. Both of these books are in Westview Library, that's my home school, and in Brookview Library, which is my home school. So it's just marketing, and always give back to your community. As we don't preach reading, because the kids are so technical, they don't want to pick up a book. Well, not in my house. But, you got to read a book a week, right? And it doesn't have to be, you learn more about people and things by reading. Just like Joseph's book or Jay's book, Joseph is part of the Bloods, and he gave a different perspective of it. So it's not just about gangbanging. Like, we know that I was part of Cryptic. That's the crime that I'm committed of. Me being a part of a gang. Technically, I wasn't part of the gang, but I'm associate. So I was guilty by association. So that's the charge that I carry, or that you can Google. But me putting it into words, they're like, okay, but you're not what you were. So I always tell people, if your story can change somebody else. So you holding in your story, you're really hurting the world. We need your stuff on paper.
Leave the world a better place than you found it.
Yeah.
So we always talk about. There's a couple of things that you touched upon. You talked about being in a room of other great writers and publishers, being uncomfortable. Talk about that, stepping outside your zone. Because I know people, that's one of the things, people are sitting on great ideas, but they're uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. What if I get rejected? They're just comfortable in their zone. Talk about that specifically. Basically, what we say, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
And that's exactly what my answer was going to be. And that uncomfortable moment, it was, so the room was 80% white. And I, as this morning, it was my Jordans that would make everybody conversation with me. But it was my presence and my personality. It bypassed the book. It was like, hey, what shoes do you have on? Why are they so flashy? I like those. My grandson has those. What was it? And then it was just me. I think I was uncomfortable, Max, for like 15 minutes. And then it was, I met some people there, and I actually ended up selling their books instead of my own book. It was like, hey, read her book, because just by reading the synopsis. So that moment actually was a tool or a puzzle piece that I was missing. So now it doesn't come off as uncomfortable. I can walk into any room and sell anything, which I couldn't from the streets. So it's basically taking what I knew from the streets and turning it into Wall Street, but not being in that presence of the Wall Street type of people. It was uncomfortable in that moment. But now J's are heels. I got it.
No, I love it. And the comments are Black women in business and thriving. We love to see it. Rich mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to put my story to paper as well. And this platform, we encourage people to ask questions. We have a question box on the YouTube Live. We have a question box on the IG Live. If you're on the IG Live and you can tune into YouTube, we encourage you to do so, because one thing I love about our platform, as soon as this is done, I'm going to watch this over again.
Right.
Because, I like to pen to paper. I want to get the feedback. I want to hear what gems we heard, and I'm learning, because I also have a story to tell. Like, I have a book that first 10 years, so like, this is great for me. And that's why I love this platform. It's always about learning for me. Even though I come here and do my thing, it's about learning. And you know, we all know as human beings, every day is a new day to learn. You can learn something new every day. Now, Max,
I just want to throw this in there. Like, you talk about learning the new day. You know, one thing I advise people is you never want to be the smartest in the room, right? We talk about intimidation, right? And at the same time, you don't want to be the dumbest in the room, right? It's about growth. It's about process. And one of those things that we talk about is the darkness. The place where you least want to look is where you need to look. Right? So when we talk about you never want to be the smartest in the room, it's like there's a step, there's something above you to keep you going, to pull you ahead, right? And I know it's intimidating because you want to protect self of who you think you are, but you never want to be the smartest in the room. At the same time, you never want to be the dumbest in the room. And one thing about the process, she talked about getting started with the books and all that. And I encourage people to go back and listen to this.
Yeah, this is
and talk about the process with anything. We're always about the process, right? It's never about the end goal, right? It's all about the process. What do you do in between the start to the finish? And if somebody has written a book that talked about their lifespan in 10 years, and you could read that in 2 days, and it could save you 5 years of your life, well, isn't that a deal? That's the deal anybody would like to take, right? And the final thing is, you know, in life, I just tell people that you want she mentioned about using her, when it's all said and done, you want to be using an example, not as a warning.
Yeah.
Right? See how so-and-so's life turned out. This is how you should be. Rather, as you see how so-and-so's life turned out, this is what not to be. Right? So make sure when you're writing your book, when you do have a story to tell, when you're part of the process, whatever it is, somebody's going to talk about do's and don'ts, right? I just went down this road and it didn't work out. Or you just saved me time, money, I don't have to go down that road. Now use that as a warning and use your life as an example.
I want to ask, what would you think was the most difficult part about publishing the book or getting the book out there? Let's talk about that. Because, you know, hey, it may look all good. Instagram looks so beautiful.
Right?
It's in the story, but the story behind it, I know everything comes with its pros and cons. So what was the most difficult part?
The difficult part for me in the beginning was the characters or the people who were part of my life at the time. Is not that I cared what they said, because at the end of the day, it was my story to tell. But it's because it's been so long. Like, this is 40 plus years ago. Why are you talking about it now? In 2016, I know that our culture does not believe in therapy, and I don't know why. I don't know who's going to break it, but I can say that in 2016, I went to therapy for 6 months. And in the therapy session, it came up again to write the book. But it was, why are you holding this in? It's holding you back. No matter what I was doing, and I've seen it for myself, is no matter what I did, I have many businesses before this, and it was holding me back. So it was the feedback that I was getting and I got was, why are you saying this about me? How could you say this? How could you put this out to the world? But then at the end of the day is, you were an adult at the time. How could you let this happen? That was my feedback. And then it was like, after a month of that, it was so hard. Like, I was like, I don't want to talk about the book anymore. I don't even care. I don't care what people are saying. I just don't want to talk about it, because half the people I haven't talked to like 15 years, I don't know where they're coming from. And then it was brought up, I'm going to sue you. I'm like, go ahead. Try it. I'm like, better than that. Write your side of the story. I will pay for it. I will publish it. And let's see what happens. It never, ever happens. But it was the only thing at the beginning that like wanted me to turn away from all of this. But it was something that had to happen for me to go forward.
And you're definitely going to turn this to a film now. Because 50 Cent went through the same thing. You know, G-Unit television. And it's crazy because he started with Get Rich or Die Trying, which he shot here in Toronto. You know, one of our peers is actually in the movie. And like, when I think about it, I remember when he started the BMF series, everybody was coming out like, yo, if you put this out in the book, I'm coming after you. Yeah. And he was the same thing. Try it.
Yeah.
I've done my due diligence. I understand, and it's actually amazing to watch what he's doing for the culture. He has like four series that are top of the top, and you know what I love about 50, he's so raw. He gets to be himself, but he earned himself to the top. Like, he earned that spot, and you know he has the whole world seeing his story, and he's making X millions of dollars sharing it to the world. So when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, we're not even thinking about it. We're doing it. We're gonna have to turn this to film, to paper, and it happens. Not everybody's gonna agree with what you have. And one thing that me and my friend was talking about yesterday is when God gives you a vision or an idea, it came to you. It didn't come to others. So you can't expect them to see that. And you know, I'm sounding like Max. Holy, that's crazy. Like, and that
But
keeps
you're
us
product of your environment, and that's good. You're product of your environment, that's good.
It's, you know,
good.
the power of influence, we talked about it. But I want to talk about this book here, Invest and Manifest.
Ooh.
Right? Because I know that's a huge thing now, right? Manifestation.
Yeah, this
comes with
episode's
hard work and also invest for. Everybody wants to invest. Can you talk about that book in itself?
So this was written just like minutes, literally. I don't think KDP or Amazon gives you the time, but this was released exactly 11:59 before New Year's. I stayed up because I'm like, I need everything to be done before the new year. And it's basically what it says is, if you don't manifest it, like the TV, take away the TV, take away the radio, take away the music. It's be one with yourself. Have 10 minutes, 15 minutes of yourself and put it out to the universe. I want this. I, Kamillah, in 6 months should accomplish this or whatever. And then it's investing. Like, I know I got exclusive J's, but I deserve the expense. Like, I worked for it. I do not reward myself every day. People think I do, but I stay ready. I don't get ready. So I probably had these, like, this is my second time wearing these, right? So it's it's investing your money and your time. Where did you invest your time today? Did you read something? Did you get something? Did you educate yourself today? Like, every day you should learn something. Who did you speak to? Sometimes even, who did you invest your time in today? Did you try to help somebody else today? I always say, even if you smile at a stranger, you change that person's day. So in that book, it actually gives you little notes to save $5 a day. Save $5. Today, save $10. And then by the end of the week or the end of the month, you'll have $2,000. That was easy. So it's not that you can't buy your first home. You didn't try. And it's not that, okay, yes, half of us weren't left a legacy to say, my grandmother left me this. But in a year, this book teaches you, in a year, you could have had that 20 bands to put down on your first home, whether it's a condo or something to flip or something. So, and it's just manifesting it and then keeping it and being consistent at what you manifest. Don't say, I want the house today, and then tomorrow you're gonna Dubai. No, it not gonna work so.
Right, that's what we talked about, right? Manifestation became a cool thing, just seeing things in the air, right? But we all know that affirmation without discipline is delusion. You can say all these things to yourself. If you're not doing the necessary things that you need to do, you will never get there. And the things that she mentioned, I mentioned it previously on multiple episodes. It's like, at the end of every, set your goals out for the day, right? And then at the end of every day, ask yourself, what did you do today to contribute to what it is that you want to be tomorrow, what it is that you want? And then by the end of the week, once you realize what I didn't do, then you have nobody to blame but yourself.
Exactly.
And also she mentioned about saving a little $500, $1,000. You may not be able to save the 20, 30, 40, 100,000, whatever is needed to get into property, right? But if you stay at it, if you're consistent and you know that this is all that I can do, this is the best I could do for myself, where I am or what I have, eventually you will get there, right? Because there's no glory in some of these things, right? Because we live in a day and age where social media, people are purchasing home. You may not be there, but the most that you could do for yourself this month is to save $500. But you don't want to do that and feel feel glorified about that because it's not that purchase of a home, so you deter yourself from doing that. So whatever little that you do have, show that humility, be humble, that this is the best that I could do where I am right now, and you're gonna get better as tomorrow goes on, right? So please, let's take that home. Humility, stay humble, wherever you are, whatever you got, whatever you got, give it all you got. Eventually you get places that you look back, you can only smile.
I knew this episode was going to be good. That's why I want to say the best for last. And I'm telling you. And you know what? I just got a crazy idea because their Freedom for Jay Burton they said we might have to do a part 2 with Ghostface Killer. You know, the legendary.
Yeah, I told you. You guys didn't believe me.
Kitty Britt. And I know Yo Gotti, CMG family is a part of this movement. But I really want to do this live in the States. Like, we can all travel, do this live and direct in New York. I'm putting it out there right now. I'm manifesting it right now.
Know about weed.
You can Skype me in. You can Skype me in.
No, but we said we still listen. Technology makes it still happen.
Yeah,
so maybe if I have to, we're going there.
We're going.
We're gonna make it happen.
Don't worry. Those are 2 people to tap into. Free Jay Burden, he's on there. Follow him, and JP Landon, follow them. And like I told you, from we sat down, is sometimes they pop up, and I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. Is he from Wu-Tang? I don't. It happens. So it's not that it's clout chasing, or it's just that these people are so powerful already. And if we, as people from the Jane, can tell them our stories, and they can bring it to light in America, California, LA. Like, I have people. Someone from North Korea messaged me, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to her. I had to use Google Translate to answer her back. But it's people like these that we connect with the rich mindset and the free burden movement. And it's actually historical. There's a lot of people who are famous who are on this movement, but they're in the background for now. But it's coming. So you want to tap in.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that. Like my brother Ebon, we usually pull up the analytics of our stats of like people watching from all over the world. Is that you never know who you could be influencing, right? If you want to start something, go ahead and do it. Most of the time, you're not gonna get the support locally, right? Right? We all know that. You know, I was watching a video clip last night. And somebody's like, why would I do things for people at home? They ain't gonna support me. I want the outside to know, and that's how humans are, believe it or not. So often when we're doing things, it's not so much for the instant gratification or approval from our loved ones or the people immediate to us. You never know who else is watching, right? I know people that tune in don't even have Instagram on our live, but they're supporting. So never believe that just because you're not getting the support, you don't see it immediately. It's not happening.
Right.
And it's crazy that he said that, because we be checking, like we literally be checking, and this, like I'm showing you, this is where we're listening to all over the world. And I remember there was a couple listeners in India, like, and that it keeps their top 3. And you know, the States is literally, and this is just for our last, like this month alone. And like I remember the first time when I asked Wavy, let me go check the analytics. I ain't gonna lie, I took this way more serious. I'm like, yo, wait, people are listening. Like, I don't know anybody from here. How did they get here? And this is the power of social media, TikTok. Like Wavy sent me a great TikTok video yesterday where Gary Vee's telling people, yo, listen.
I like Gary Vee.
Yeah, no, Gary Vee.
Shut up, Wavy. Wavy keep us on our toes.
No, Wavy, I ain't gonna lie. He texted me that yesterday.
Wavy be letting me know. As soon as Wavy sent me that, I made that post. Wavy be letting me know. You need to talk about team. You have a team. Let's talk about it. You know, do you have a team? How you get this done out by yourself, or like you?
I'm solo dolo.
You're solo dolo.
See,
That's dope. That's dope.
solo dolo?
Self-reliance.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Literally, I guess from I'm about 13 years old, something happened traumatic, and I do not sleep past, like I can't sleep past 5:30, but I usually get up between 4:20 to 5 o'clock. So, and that's when my day starts. And then in business world, it's okay because in LA, it's a different time. In India, it's a different time. In China, it's already night. So I tap in. So if you're on my social media, you see that I go on my stories in the morning. I say something about God is, do you thank God? Like every day above ground is a blessing. But some people just pick up their phone and it's, what's the new J's or what's the new Yeezys or what did so-and-so do? Like you have to give thanks that you're here because every day is a blessing. So that's the first thing I do in the morning. And then my day, my work, I usually roll out of bed and then there's my desk and I work right up until, and then my body shuts down like 5 o'clock. And so anything that happens after that has to happen with my phone in my hand, and then it just gets done. It's not that I don't want a team. The thing is, Max, is I'm not looking for them to be with me for a paycheck. You have to be passionate about it too. If you want a paycheck, find a grant or something. I don't know. I can't help you with that. I need you to be passionate about what this company does so that I can step back. I can't step back if I can train you, but if it's just for a paycheck, no. And it sounds bad, but it's just the way it has to run. Is you guys are here, you guys both have the same passion, it's gonna work. I just can't, I'm sorry.
And I see a comment here. This is from Real Original Sanya. Love her like rice and peas with brown stew fish. Yeah, bring out. I like these. Yeah, man, bring out the comments. I get serious. But
it's a proper Sunday dinner, that.
And it's crazy. Like I love, like, you know what? This even just messed me up. Today updated. We have 7 people listening from Russia, and it's like, yo, I know it's TikTok. I know it's the power of TikTok because I can only imagine. They just shut down Instagram over there. So everybody's just, and this is why Wavy says, yo, just post.
You just
use the hashtag. People are clicking these things. And it's like, the world is crazy times. I don't want to get into the positive out of it, but it's crazy times going on. And sometimes you just have to, I remember before we even started this podcast, Wavy, Max, like, yo, the end goal of this is for us to be on YouTube, and it took us a while to get here. We didn't just wake up. We started this literally 2020, and it took us October 2021 before we got on podcast and YouTube. And you know, I remember when we had just 50 YouTube listeners, and it felt, when it got to 200, I'm like, yo, 1,000 is really possible.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you just got to be consistent.
Consistency is key.
And you just got to, so now we have a little formula. And it's like, all right, I understand. And we're, as a team, we're coming together. You know, there's people who started with us that aren't here. That's how it's going to go.
It's gonna go
you
like
just got to keep going, keep the ball rolling. And I'm starting to understand, like, even when it comes to, like, it's not going to work for everybody. The teamwork thing is not for everybody, but teamwork does help the dream work. If you want to get the movie and thing out there, you're definitely going to have to, you know what I mean? So eventually we're all going to need these things. But sometimes it's best to understand yourself, how you work.
And that's it for me. Is if I don't have the blueprint, I can't teach somebody else it. So once the formula is, like, it's in place for me, and I do know that it's time to step back, and it's going to be this year sometime. I just don't know when, but I'm ready to say, okay, here. and step back for a day or two, because sometimes I really do need it.
Whew.
And it's mad dope. You talk about a solo dolo, I'm all for team and whatnot, but you got to be able to do it yourself, right? If you're asking people to do something for you, can you do it for yourself also?
Exactly.
And with that, doing it all by yourself is amazing thing. What's your motivator? Just being Motivation Monday, like, what keeps you going? Like, what's your why? We always ask people this question, like, what's your why?
My why is why not.
Yo, please say that
Simple.
again.
My why is why
hard.
not?
Yeah.
Like, why not? And then it's the legacy. Like, I just believe in legacy. Like, again, we're coming from a place where it's negativity. And then if I could be, that one puzzle piece, and then you guys can be that next puzzle piece to change it, it's like, okay, Kamillah, we got to do this because, yes, Jane and Finch is X, Y, and Z, but we got Ebon and we got Max and we got you and there's a few other powerful people. Even Dean Chambers, he wrote a book.
Big up to Dean Chambers.
Come on.
My
and
people
he's
that.
about that way. He's heavy in real estate. There's a lot of people off of the Jane, and if we just came together, it can happen. So my motivation is just consistency, and then my why is why not.
And honestly, there may be people watching this right now, and it sounds good when you hear people who invest. Like, I always talk about this, and it's like, sometimes you just need to sit down with somebody who's doing it and asking the right question. That's how I even got into investing, and how me and Max even got to doing this. Literally was just, I saw what he was doing. I just said, yo, bro, how you doing this? We sat down and we made things happen. You may think it's hard, but it's easier than I'm telling you.
Easier done.
It's, you know what I mean? So I applaud anybody they're loving the why not. And we got some, I love this. I need questions right now. Let me go to our, it's a little shaky. You've assisted me in so many ways, sis, and I'm so grateful to have you in my corner. Chronicles of Jane, British Royalty. That's original Sanya. Let me get 2 questions. I love it. So first book is, okay, I like this first question because I like this. It says, where do you see COJ in 5 years? What's next? And also, please let them know. Actually, we'll answer this first and I say the next question. But where do you see COJ? Where do you see Chronicles of Jane in 5 years? What's next?
Chronicles of Jane in 5 years is something that I manifest and I vision every morning, sometimes in the afternoon, but definitely at night, is a building where it's a coffee shop, a bookstore, publishing, and just doing everything in a one-stop shop for authors. Also, like having a counseling office in there, because I believe that you need someone to talk to sometimes, and you need to be someone that you can relate to. Oftentimes when I go back to Brookview, the kids relate to me because I speak their language, right? So that's in COJ for me in 5 years will be definitely, I don't know what color the building will be. Definitely not blue. People associate me to be a Crip. I don't know why, but
I think I know, man.
Right? But yes,
Is
definitely.
blue your favorite color?
No, but
You're in blue today.
It always happens. And then to also have, as you can see today, I'm wearing my brand, which is Jane Print, but they're collections. So it's nothing that you see every year. This was last year's collection. And then just to have that store in there, a little coffee shop, a little store. I got a lot of people who have their own brands. So just to have a branding store in the building where I always go back to the Jane first. It's everybody who on the Jane who has the branding. I know that Son is in the comments, and I hear her. She has a jewelry line. My sister does cakes and stuff like that, and she does what is that board called with cheese and stuff? I'm not trying to bite my tongue on here today, but okay. And then
Shout out to Talisa in the cut.
Tilly with the corrections. Thank you. So that's my vision for COJ. Eventually, I think it can happen. No, it will happen in 5 years.
I love that.
Watch your words. Watch what you say to yourself. I like us to switch it up.
I switch up real quick.
You gotta watch your words.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you say and how you say it.
And quick, I want to throw this in. The why, she said her why is, like we always say, if your why is powerful, the how is easy, right? Why not you? Why not now?
Right.
And we have a next question. It just someone said, please turn it into a series. I love the community that they're. And when you got me that video and posted, I was watching and I'm like, yo, who are all these people coming through, sharing, reposting? I'm like, all right, but I love it because I like the new family. Listen, we're all one family.
Yeah.
I don't need to know you from nowhere as long as we're on the same page of wanting to like-minded, understand self, purpose, passion. I'm all for it. This question says, a lot of people think you have to come from money to create generational wealth. Is that true for you?
Absolutely not. A lot of artists say it, from nothing to something. I mean, again, we're from the Jane. I never came from money. I'm not going to say that I'm poor because I had days when I had nothing. It's in the book. And it's true. There's days when I had nothing. I've been paying rent from I'm 13 years old. By myself.
Wow.
Alone. No furniture. So I get it. I'm not going to say I was poor, but I had to, like you're saying, is I had to be in that situation where that could never happen again. And if it even, I see it's getting there, as I know, hey, I know what to do to get it done. So no, I don't believe money. You could start a business with $100. Your GST could start your business. Like, we're in Canada, the money's dishing out. Like, if you didn't get the grant, I don't know what you were doing, but there's many ways for you to start a business, and then again, social media is powerful. So no.
And I love you.
And I just want to throw this that it's actually in reverse, believe it or not. Author Michael Huff, I just pulled this up. It says hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. So it's actually reverse. I'm gonna say that again. Right, because people say you need money to make money, but it's actually on the reverse, believe it or not, because we know that hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Right, so that's the thing about having resources. It takes away the grit. It takes away the grind. We know about not having nothing, right? I heard this also. The worst thing in life is not to be broke. The worst thing in life is to take some success and go back to being a nobody. Yeah. Right? So you know about not having the furniture. But somebody who grew up their whole life having furniture, they panic, right? Yeah. And they don't know what to do when hard times come, right? Through the people that have done time, like, we don't want to brag about the pandemic and lockdown, but we know about real lockdown.
Like, so to us,
so to us, it's those moments that's like, we're born for this. Now we're actually working on this, because most of us did get productive while we're inside, when you just had to read or write something. So it was through the lockdown, through technology, through motivation money, that was nothing. So we do not want weak mode. We do not want, what's it called, for things to be easy, right? You want things to be hard.
You want to be uncomfortable some days.
Right, you're going to get comfortable, right? We talk about good stress, right? I'm going to say that quote again because it's so good. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Now, I want to hear, if you were to have a message to the queens, that was great for the man them. Give us something for the ladies right now. You could think, you could do it a little later, give you some time. Yeah. But if you could give, because there's some queens. I see the comments right now is going crazy. Someone says, I started my business with my baby bonus.
Come on.
To you. Exactly. This is what I'm talking. And we, like, this space is for people to hear these things. Because I know there's somebody out there who's starting up a business right now. This is what you probably needed to hear. You're at the right place at the right time. Like, when I go to these conferences and I start, like when I was at Barack Obama, I literally took the mic and said, I wanted everyone to repeat, you're at the right place at the right time. Your life may not be going how you want it to be, but the fact that you're here soaking in this information, this is God, this is the universe telling you, listen, this is what you need to hear today. Get to work. Get it going. It may be difficult. You might have to do it by yourself. You might have to start with pen and paper. You might have to be in that lockdown. But that's what you need. Because that's what, me, at that time, I thought it was like hell, literally. But at Maxwell time, when you're hell, there's only one way to go up. And that's literally up. And that made me who I am today. And I'm here to share my story. So shout out to everybody that's
shout out Grand Slammers that just tuned another Gin and Finch legend.
Come on now.
Shout out.
Come on. I think his brother also has a book too.
Yes, he did.
I believe Jane and Finch it's called. I have it on my desk. There's nobody who has a book I don't have.
I actually wore the Grand Slammers hoodie, and I am shooting an episode this weekend with his bro. He has a dope podcast they're doing in the basketball community. So, shout out to everybody that's...
Of course, come on. Jane's powerful.
Oh, boy.
Jane is really powerful.
Oh, boy. And, I mean, listen. If there is anything you could tell to your younger self with everything you've been through, what would it be?
What I would tell younger Kamillah, at that time they used to call me tiny because I never grew until I was 13 years old, is take what they're saying and put it in your back pocket. It's not necessary. They're trying to hold you down. I think from a younger ages, in our community, we don't praise our kids enough. So it was always negativity. Yeah, idiot. You know, sense. Go sit down over there. So we can't express our feelings. So, and that's why I was saying before is, at one point, my aunt took away my journal from me and I lost it. Every figurine. Me never kept, because that's me. And she took it away from me and it was my only it was my only outlet to put my pain to at the time. So my younger self, I would have just said, it's not worth it. Just tune out the noise.
I love it. And I encourage everybody, if you're on TikTok, follow our TikTok Motivation Mondays live, because we take a lot of these snippets, put it there. The YouTube as well too. We put on shorts, so we encourage everybody, check out our YouTube page. When you get into the YouTube, click the like button, click the subscribe button. I see we got some new subscribers, so welcome to all of you guys. Shout out to my family. That's the Rex family. We got actually somewhere they emailed us. DACC Consultants. He's doing a great thing. I want to connect you guys as well too.
Okay.
He does a lot of great work for the communities and the kids in the schools. And I know for sure with your books, he'll be able to make some magic happen. Our community's so small. You'll be surprised. We got some major players in they may be behind the scenes, but they're doing the great work. So we see what you guys are doing. Another message: you inspire me to be better and do better and work harder. And I know you're here for this month for the ladies, and it's not just this month, because I will say Black History Month is happening every day. Black History is happening literally every day. But we're keeping the fire blazing by bringing guests. I learned so much about you in this short time. Thank you for reaching out to us as well too.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes some people don't understand. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some people who are there like, yo, I want to go on that show. Reach out.
Right?
It's simple. I mean, you guys be DMing Beyonce. She ain't answering y'all.
Hey,
don't tell yourself no, right? Send that literally. And I mean, we have Whitney here, and she talked about the same thing, DMing Little Dirk to get the cake out. You just never know. Stop saying no to yourself before the world has answered you.
Yeah.
Right? And even if you get that no, try again. See what it is.
And
right?
I find that, especially in Toronto, or maybe Canada, well, I haven't been everywhere, but is support local. Like, you guys support the Americans super strong, and like you said, it does happen sometimes that they do recognize you, but your own will recognize you first. Like, just support where you're coming from.
Screwface capital is sad, but we still have that stigma. Right here, another
crab in the buckets mentality.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the first one out.
Says, thank you, sis, so much. Today, this made me realize I have to go harder and not give up. Very inspiring. And sometimes if there's, I always tell myself, if there's one person that gets something or gets some motivation, I've done my job.
Yeah,
that's literally what it is. And I'm gonna add that in the moment we feel good in the moment, but we gotta stay consistent, because it will get hard.
Yeah.
That feeling that you feel right now when you made that commitment to yourself that you're gonna start right now, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but eventually you come across something that's bigger than you that will say, no, I do not need to do this no more. But remember that state that you set in. You made that commitment now, and we're gonna hold you accountable. We have your comment. Let's muncher. Stay true to what it is that you say you're gonna do. Stay true to it. That's for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Stay committed, because it's gonna get hard. No matter how easy life is, it's gonna get hard. And if you think life is hard, it will get better, but it'll probably get hard again. That's one guarantee I could tell you about life. Eventually, something will come that'll be difficult for you to handle.
And
stay the course.
Yeah.
I think today is just, I can't wait to rewatch this. This is, any last words before because we could have this conversation
all
forever
day,
and
right?
ever.
I just want everyone to know that you can. And even some days when you feel that you can't, there's somebody, maybe they haven't reached out to you, but somebody's watching you from afar to say, someone idolizes you or a fan. I don't like people to say I have fans, but somebody is watching you to either fuck up or fix it, or fix the fuck up. So it's never give up and be consistent. Anything that you're doing, and if you have a business and you're doing it and it's not doing well, take what's not doing well and start another business then. So now you have the blueprint of, I messed up here and now I know how to execute it here. And that being said, is elevate what you're doing. Yes, I have a publishing company. Yes, I have 7 books, 2 children's books and 2 motivational books, and journals. So I entered last week Last week I had an authors convention. So it was 15 authors, local authors, under one roof, and we had readings. Some of them was the first time they're ever reading publicly because they were so timid. So I literally had to hold their hand. But after that, their life changed, right? So I also released that day is that I released my book as an NFT. That's a whole different world. So it was like
times, yep.
It was like, it's a book, and I'm like, no, hold on now. You know your girl did her research. So it's not, people like Tory Lanez releases NFTs as music, right? So it's, you guys get it. It's after this show, by the end of the day. This is what I was waiting for, actually, because I wasn't going to do it until I came here next week. So then I'll release the NFT today. So with NFT, it's actually book 1 and 2 together as a hard copy. Encouragement letter that's one of the colors of the merch. Again, this is a collection. You'll never get this again. And it was weird entering it, but it's that community. Like, shout out my NFT community. They're crazy. Like, okay, when? So the artwork was mod. Because again, people think I'm a Crip, so I had to incorporate like yellow some way, somehow. So then I have a collection where it's like me taking off my mask. It's a picture I took a while back, but it makes sense to me. When you get the NFT, it will tell you what it is. And then it goes from you seeing me to going robotic. So that will be the collection. So the collection won't be available until next month or maybe next week, but definitely after I leave Motivated Mondays, you can get the NFT.
I'm gonna be one of the first ones to cop that for sure.
For sure,
and
thanks.
You know, we want to thank you so much for coming through. You know, we had to change the date a little bit, but
That's
you said,
okay.
"Listen, I got you." And I was so nervous. I was like, "God, what?" But everything happens.
It works
for a
out.
reason.
It works out for a
So
reason.
I'm happy you gave us your time. This is Motivation Monday. We're here to make the uncool cool. Our reason is you versus you. My brother Max is speaker.
Yes. Thank you guys for tuning. Like always, love and support. Subscribe, follow, share.
Where can they find you? Put your social medias. And you know what? It's crazy because we didn't talk too much about it. And I have to add this in there because you want to come in here with a hat, but you're a woman that wears a lot of hats. You do the interior designing as well too. So I got to plug that in. Please plug your all your businesses in before we get out of here. And you know, because we got to bring it back to the community. We talk about support. This is how it starts.
All right, so for the book stuff, it's Chronicles_of Jane on Instagram. Twitter is just British Royalty with 3 Y's. Facebook I don't fond of, but you can find me still at British Royalty, or Chronicles of Jane has its own Facebook. For NFTs, it's COJ underscore or dash Jane Print. And then for interior design, it's Our Unique Rooms, so it's OUR. And then for it's Royalty Helping Hands for my nonprofit.
Okay, dope. And we're going to put this on our social media. So to all our people in there, make sure you do follow Motivation Mondays Live. We'll put all the ads over there so you can find out. This was a dope episode. Thank you, literally from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
You know,
thank you.
and I'm glad that the community was able to feel this energy, and we got more in store. Trust me.
Oh yeah, and I can see myself working with you guys together. Doing other stuff and going out into the community for sure. So
Let's make it happen.
It's not the last time you've seen these faces together.
Perfect. To
Thank
our
you
people
guys
all
for
around the
tuning in.
world, love our states people. Thanks for showing the love.
Oh, for sure.
Peace
Shout
and
out
love.
everybody who's on lockdown and don't give up. Shout out
Don't
everybody
give
out for
up.
the Jane, and definitely again, me being here today, my presence was. You guys actually are my present.